Hi everybody, Dan Illman here with the feature race at Century Mile on Saturday evening. It's the Grade 3 $200,000 Canadian Derby. We're going a mile and a quarter for 3-year-olds. As we take a look at this field, it is a full field and they're coming from everywhere. The two Mano Do World won the Manitoba Derby last time out. At Assiniboia Downs, he faces a full group, including horses that competed in the Triple Crown Series in the States. The 7 Chase the Chaos recently ran in the Preakness. You've got some other horses coming up from the States, as well as some rock-solid horses from British Columbia as well. This is a good field, and it should be a good betting race, and it should feature a fast pace. We throw up the Timeform U.S. Pace Projector. The 11 Heroic Move, who was the beaten odds-on favorite in the Manitoba Derby after finishing third in the Iowa Derby at Prairie Meadows, is expected to be forwardly placed, and he's going to have to break from a tough outside post position, but he'll probably have at least a little bit of time to get over. I would expect the 3 Sunbird, unbeaten from 4 lifetime starts, coming in from Hastings to have some speed. The 6, A Belief in This Livin'. I think this time around, A Belief in This Livin' is going to take back. Maybe a horse like Flash and Aces will show some speed at a big price, stretching out in distance. Shibwe, the number 9, also has some early ability. Let's watch Flash and Aces' recent victory. This is only a $12,000 beaten claimer, going 6.5 at Century Mile, but Flash and Aces was able to get the job done after finishing second as the favorite in the Grand Prairie Derby. Flash and Aces got a good trip in this race. He got right up close to moderate fractions. He's very game in the stretch to win. He's now going to face a much tougher pace situation. He's going to have to stretch out 3.5 furlongs in distance, and he's going to step way up in class. So he's 40-1 on the morning line. Sharp, but he has a lot of questions to answer, does Flash and Aces. Let's watch Mano Do World. What a wise claim. For $50,000 at Lone Star Park 3 starts back, he went 2 for 2 at Assiniboia Downs, including the Manitoba Derby, where he beat 4 of these rivals, and he did so at a big price. 15-1 odds. He got a very nice trip and ride. An in-out stalker's trip. He's been consistent throughout his career, hitting the board in 10 of 14, and that last race was his best yet from a Beyer speed figure standpoint in 85. He appears to be coming into this race the right way, and he has tactical speed where he doesn't have to be a true one-run closer. He can likely sit in mid-pack behind this solid pace and come with a strong bid yet again. The 3 is Sunbird, unbeaten from 4 lifetime starts, 3 of those wins at Hastings, but he did win at Century Mile sprinting 2 starts back in his first start off of a long layoff, his first start as a 3-year-old. Here's his race at Hastings last time out, going a mile and a 16th. This horse shows good speed, and in the Sir Winston Churchill prep, he was able to get right up close to the pace. He drives on home. He's just a likable sort, and he's so lightly raced. I wonder if we've even seen his best yet. I believe he can build off of that 77 Beyer speed figure. He is by Kentucky Derby winner Orb. Perhaps stretching out to a mile and a quarter will be just what the doctor ordered for the number 3, Sunbird. The 4 is Altitude. This horse is 50-1 on the morning line. He won the Grand Prairie Derby last time out, going a mile and a 16th. It was a solid performance considering he didn't break very well and he was far behind early. He showed off a good kick. He's going to get Lasix once again, but leading into the Grand Prairie Derby, he was claimed for only $5,000. 2 starts back, so there are some class concerns for Altitude, another horse at a big price, in good form, that's going to be tested for class. Kawai Dan is the number 5, consistent enough runner, 3rd last time out in an allowance race. We're going to take a look at that start for Kawai Dan, going a mile at Century, where he kind of made a mid-race move on the outside. He was really losing ground on the backstretch and into the turn. He made the lead. He just got a little bit tired late, and that's kind of been the story for Kawai Dan. He seems like a tough horse to ride. He pulls a little bit. Maybe he moves too early in his races. I think that Connections would love to get him covered up and try to come with good, strong late run. Still eligible for a non-winners of 2 life is Kawai Dan. He needs probably a Beyer boost. The 6 is Believe A Belief in This Livin'. This is a horse coming up from the United States, fourth 2 starts back against Scotland, who ran Saturday afternoon in the Travers Stakes. Scotland beat A Belief in This Livin', came back to win the restricted Curlin Stakes. Then A Belief in This Livin' went out to Southern California and ran in the Los Alamitos Derby against a legitimate 3-year-old in the States from the Bob Baffert barn named Reincarnate. And A Belief in This Livin' really didn't threaten, showed a little bit of early speed, tired at the 3/8 pole and didn't threaten, but it was a good field with Reincarnate and the 3rd place finisher who had come back to win a stakes race at Emerald Downs with an 83 Beyers speed figure. I think A Belief in This Livin' has a grinding style of running that would work at this longer distance if he gets the right trip and race flow. He's 10-1 on the morning line. Chase the Chaos is the number 7. He captured the El Camino Real Derby over the Tapeta surface at Golden Gate Fields, going 1 1/8 miles. Now, he got the setup in that race. A very fast pace over a closer-friendly track. Everything worked out for Chase the Chaos, who then was in pretty tough in 2 of his next 3 starts, the San Felipe in Southern California behind Practical Move, and then the Preakness last time out, a race where he was probably outclassed behind Kentucky Derby winner Mage, who returned to run second in the Haskell with a 93 Beyer and will be running Saturday in the Travers. And the just race shape didn't work out for Chase the Chaos. Chase the Chaos needs pace. He's a true closer, and that race, National Treasure, just walked the dog on the lead. First-time Lasix might be ideal for Chase the Chaos. He's going to get a much better pace setup than last time out. Horses with his running style, however, need to get the trip. The 8 is Green Amazon, one of the horses that was beaten by Mano Do World in the Manitoba Derby. He ran just fine, going 1 mile in the Derby trial at Assiniboia Downs 2 starts back. He has improved by leaps and bounds since moving from the synthetic and turf at Woodbine to the dirt surface at the Downs. I just think he has a lot to prove after being beaten by Mano Do World last time out. I think the trip was okay. He was up close to a solid enough pace, and then he got tired. The pace likely to be fast again. Sheboy was trained by Todd Pletcher down in North America. He won a race 2 starts back at 7/8 of a mile for a $100,000 maiden claiming tag. There were no takers that day, but then when he went through the auction ring, he was purchased for $145,000, and he ran in the Manitoba Derby. And I don't think it's as bad as that line looks. I know he was beaten 10 lengths, but he was up close to a legitimate pace, and then he got tired. He's probably now on the program with this barn, and I think that he can probably work out a decent trip, sitting 3rd or 4th or 5th off the early lead. I think 1.25 miles is going to be okay for him. Maybe it's pushing it a bit, but he's kept some good company, and he's a good price on the morning line at 20-1. Accidental Hero is the 10. He rallied for 3rd last time out behind Sunbird, and he's another horse. He could use a little bit of pace. He's another horse that's been a really valuable claim. He was taken for $40,000 at Oaklawn Park. He's raced 3 times at Hastings, and he's earned 2 stakes placings. Give him a good race setup, which he should get in a good trip. Perhaps he is a horse that can round out your single race exotics at a big price. Heroic Move is the number 11, trained by Robertino Diodoro, who's had a tremendous amount of success in these sort of Canadian derbies in the past, Manitoba derbies, anything in Canada. Good effort in the Iowa Derby 2 starts back, considering that that race was contested over an inside speed favoring track. He settled in behind the lead. The trip was good. He was coming with a run at the end. He only got beat a half length, but he had to do it on the outside. In the Manitoba Derby, he probably just had to go a little bit too quick in the early portion of that race, maybe a bit too confidently ridden early. He ended up finishing a tired 2nd. If he breaks, expect him to be among the top 3 after the first half mile or so. The number 12 is American Blaze. Let's watch his last race. This is a stakes win at Century Mile, going 1 1/16 miles, and this horse is nothing if not consistent. He's won 4 of his last 5 starts, including the Turf Paradise Derby and this race at Century Mile, where he took advantage of a very fast pace and kicked the leaders down, and he beat a couple of minor next out winners. I'm not too worried about post position 12, because with his running style, I think he's just going to drop back, try to save as much ground as possible for the first half mile, and then come with his kick. Not sure if he's the best kicker in the field, but this is a horse you never want to discount. He's already won 5 times in his career. The 13 and the 14 are entered also eligible. Riverside, to me, if one of the 2 got in, might be a little bit more interesting. I thought he ran okay last time out in his first start for these new connections when he was beaten by American Blaze as the favorite. We take a look at my top selections for the Canadian Derby. I'm going to go with A Belief in This Livin', the number 6. I like the competition he faced on both coasts in the States in his last 2 starts. And while the 1.25 miles might be a bit of a question mark, he is by Arrogate, of course, who won the Travers and the Breeders' Cup Classic. I think there's enough pedigree here for him to get the distance. And with his grinding style, as I mentioned before, I think he might be able to grind it out. He's 10-1 on the morning line, and he's my pick in the Canadian Derby at Century Mile on Saturday. Good luck.